Kit! Help me drag this green keg inside.
Okay, I'll grab his legs.
Legs?
Of the life-sized, anatomically correct Ryan Gosling collectible.
I said keg. Why would I bring a giant Ken doll to work? I mean, have that. Why would I have that?
I was hoping you got me a just because Prezi.
What do you need a life-size Ken doll for? Don't say the carpool lane. We get here together most days.
For the days we don't come together? By the by, what's in the keg? I bet it's space cold mutter's milk. Or a barely aged red tip.
Nope. Kiss my shiny metal.
Pabst Blue Robot.
Not quite.
A mountain cold Springwasser, Heffer, Scheissen, Heissen, Brausen, Dusselbach.
So close. No, it's actually homebrewed butterbeer.
I don't want to be an alarmist, but I have to ask, whose homebrew?
Mine.
Oh man, I thought all that butter was for Ostera shortbread. At least we didn't have to haul in another dubious batch of Steve's Bane of Ratwater lager.
Plus side, we didn't have to buy conditioner for a month.
It did make your beard baby soft and shiny. Wait, why did you bring a said keg of butterbeer to work?
It's March.
What's so special about March?
Do you know how many geek holidays there are this month? A lot.
Beware the Ides of March.
That too, Sparina. Cicerone Wrestling Geeks kicked off the festivities on March 16th with Steve Austin Day. You know, 316.
Cute, kind of like how everyone brings a different pie to work on 314.
French silk pie.
Only the best for my podcast partner. I couldn't do it for Anonymous Gift Week since everyone knows I'm the only person that makes it. Speaking of, maybe the Cupid that forgot to put something in my desk drawer for Valentine's could sneak it in there while we're recording, and it better not be a slice of French silk pie.
It's anonymous. Someone wouldn't know it was me. But back to those hypothetical pies. You know, we could pretend we didn't know. It'd be worth it for 7 decadent, lighter than air chocolate pies with that flaky, buttery crust and Kid, stop torturing me! You know Steve inhaled the last one faster than Venom at an all-you-can-eat brain buffet.
Oh, don't worry, homie. I saved you a slice. That reminds me, it was a smidge delayed.
You're gonna say Venom 3, aren't you?
Why, yes, Walter Mercado. Tom Hardy's Venom is just naughty enough to be adorable and body be bangin'. I mean, for a brain snuffling parasite. Tom was terrific in that series Taboo and the film Layer Cake, too.
Even though the Venom 3 plot's under wraps, a cast member let it slip that Kiwato Ejiofor from The Man Who Fell to Earth and the upcoming film The Life of Chuck will be playing Orwell Taylor. In the comics, he created the jury to avenge the death of his son.
It also stars Juno Temple of Ted Lasso. I'm so in love with her. She's so versatile. From Fargo season 5's, where there's a kidnapping gone very wrong, to her role as a futuristic rebel in the sci-fi anthology Electric Dreams episode Autofac.
She's also going to be in that new sci-fi mystery Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. That's a great title.
Circling back to holidays, even though Stone Cold's feud with Vince does age better the more lurid details we learn about Bedpan McMahon's real life, I don't think drinking beer and watching wrestling counts as a holiday, Donnie. That's just Monday nights.
Well, we don't have to watch wrestling. We could flip on Pluto TV and stream his Broken Skull Challenge reruns, or one of the movies they have in there right now. We could do that in the break room or something.
He tried to make me watch The Condemned. I said, no, no, no.
Literally, no, not that one. Side note for our listeners, this isn't a sponsorship, just an FYI. Pluto TV's got a bunch of free with ads geek culture this month. You could help us out by hitting the like button and subscribing if you appreciate this info. Pluto TV's got channels for Godzilla, Doctor Who, Stargate, Star Trek, the RoboCop TV series right now, and a bunch of movies. For Steve Austin Day, they've got Recoil, Hunt to Kill, and Tactical Force. They got the first four Indiana Jones movies on there. They got the Prophecy franchise, Lego Ninjago movie, Asylum's knockoff Atlantic Rim, Hercules Reborn with John Morrison, and the original 1973 Walking Tall for those of you who've only ever seen The Rock's remake and maybe want to compare it to the original. Oh, and they've also got The Rock's movie Faster on there, and probably a bunch more when you look around. Not a sponsorship, we're just helping y'all out.
Since you mentioned John Morrison, he'll also star in the upcoming movie The Righteous Adventures of Commander Starshark and Guppy with Scott Steiner, Matt Hardy, and Fred Ottman. But I'd rather watch Chuck again. At least there'd be loads of Zachary Levi and Adam Baldwin while we waited for the 2 episodes Stone Cold was in. Do we have a holiday for our listeners who aren't into wrestling?
Well, what about St. Patrick's Day on March 17th? That's a classic drinking holiday.
How about a holiday for our listeners and staff that aren't Catholic? Butterbeer's kind of heavy for spring. I wish you would have tried to make bathtub poutine instead. We could always celebrate St. Patty's Day with a shot of Bailey's in our Java, some Kilcannon, and one of the books from either the Emily Wilde or the Ronan Boyle series.
You're telling me you're gonna read a book for St. Patrick's Day instead of partying?
Yep. It's more fun than polishing your silver Cluricon belt buckle. Besides, the hardcover of Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands just came out a couple months ago.
What's that?
The sequel to Heather Fawcett's first book.
That doesn't really answer my question. What's that?
Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies is the 2023 nominee for the Best Fantasy Book. Is that better?
Nominally.
It's a good read for advanced young adults on up because it veers slightly into the Grimm's brothers' territory. We join folklore expert Emily Wilde, who's great with research, her dog, and fairies, but very bad at peopling. She travels to a remote Scandinavian village to gather local legends and first-hand accounts of the Fae to complete her comprehensive encyclopedia. Then she's followed by an irritatingly charming colleague who may or may not be elven royalty. Together they discover dark Fae curses, unlikely family, lifelong friendships, and even a possible romance.
I don't want to encourage our listeners to read some Harlequin romance about an elven prince falling for an introverted schoolmarm. It's lame.
Listen. I stopped reading Anne Rice and Laurel K. Hamilton because their books tragically morphed into penthouse horror erotica, where the plot became flimsier than a fairy's gossamer peignoir, or just entirely vanished altogether, faster than a Cheshire cat grin.
Check. No bodice ripping will commence.
Thanks for not going into that creepy cat song.
No problem. That cliched disappearing cat smile is all I ever read in my fiction lately. I swear if I read one more person who's unable to describe a smile as anything other than a Cheshire cat grin, I'm a hurl.
Noted. Noted. Don't worry, no hurling will commence. Heather Fawcett gives us time to get immersed in the frosty locale and then lets us warm up to the cast. She even manages to toss in her own little twist to fairy lore. I read the first book to some lovely people at the rest home, and the chaste romance subplot wasn't offensive in the least.
So the Emily Wilde books aren't porn? Boring. What about Ronan Boyle's trilogy? I heard it was written by Lieutenant Dangle from Reno 911 of all people.
Yeah, Thomas Lennon.
Oh, he's Thomas Lennon when he writes now? You're not fooling anyone, Tom.
Ronan Boyle and the Bridge of Riddles begins the series. Granted, the series is aimed for a younger audience, but it's imaginative enough that the young at heart will still enjoy it. He is the youngest member of the Garda, a very secret branch of the Irish police, who handle the misdeeds of magical creatures here and in Tir na Nog, the Celtic underworld. A subplot has Ronan trying to get his wrongfully accused parents released from prison, too.
Looks like Thomas's second book is Ronan Boyle and the Swamp of Certain Death, and the third is Ronan Boyle Into the Strange Place.
The trilogy is also illustrated by John Hendricks. He did this one illustration of the headless horseman looking at a headless stallion that's on sale for half price. I find it hilarious that the Hessian is like anyone else's uncle, just trying to find a good deal on a new transport.
Well, fine. You keep reading your books. I guess I'll drink the keg and watch Leprechaun 2 for its 30th anniversary by myself in the break room. Leprechaun 2 is just one of the many, many movies
Celebrating a 2024 anniversary, the film geeks love it when their favorite movie comes up for anniversaries. If we can't celebrate a holiday together, maybe we can agree on one of the movie anniversaries.
Besides Star Wars Warwick Davis and cameos from Tony Cox and Clint Howard, you got some of the best side characters and some of the best body modification horror in the whole series in that one.
Matter of fact, the Sci Fi Cable Channel is doing a Leprechaun movie marathon for St. Patrick's Day. It starts at 9:30 a.m. with Leprechaun Back to the Hood, and it goes all day and night, and it ends at 11:40 p.m. with Leprechaun Returns. And actually, never mind, I just talked myself out of it because it drives me crazy that they're doing it out of order for no apparent reason, but maybe just Leprechaun 2. We can at least watch that one in the break room for the 30th anniversary. What do you think?
I'm starting to feel like I got cursed. I don't want to watch it again. I want to know how come National Mario Day and National Plumber's Day aren't on the same day.
Well, Mario was also a doctor.
Of what, mycology? I think the drip doctor is trying to impress his girlfriend's dad. Like King Toadstool would fall for that disguise. If it's that easy, I say we show up to work wearing a stethoscope, a head mirror, and a lab coat, and see if we get a raise for being Dr. Donis and Dr. Kiddis. Since you liked how fancy Thomas sounded. Side note, I don't care if they do kill viruses, the size of those mega vitamins is terrifying. Can't we do something different, like celebrate Gary Oldman and talk about his two movies that came out in 1994 instead? Immortal Beloved, who did Beethoven write those letters to? And Leon the Professional. Controversy aside, it's still an awesome premise. An autistic hitman, Jan Renov, Nikita and Godzilla, fostering an orphan, Natalie Portman of V for Vendetta, and the upcoming Fountain of Youth. It's got one of my all-time favorite crossover fourth wall Easter eggs in it. Gary's Stansfield pops his Librium, then cleans house whilst listening to Beethoven. I nearly choked on soda, I laughed so hard.
I mean, if we're doing two movies, though, we might as well do Leprechaun 1 and 2.
Oh, for the love of rainbows, no. If we have to watch just one movie instead, how about Cloak and Dagger?
Nah, Freeform messed up that Marvel series.
Well, it was cool that Aubrey Joseph and Olivia Holt reprised their roles for Runaways and Spider Man. And I thought she was perfectly cast and totally killer. But I actually meant the movie with Dabney Coleman of Boardwalk Empire and War Games and Henry Thomas. He was so creeptastic in Netflix's Fall of the House of Usher. And he's going to be in the upcoming indie movie Riptide with Val Kilmer, too.
I love Henry Thomas. Check out Red Velvet sometime, all our listeners who haven't seen it. But I don't feel like watching Henry's imaginary friend have to rescue him. Pick something else.
The Crow?
Nope, we talked ad nauseum about The Crow in episode 4.
No. The macabre classic with Brandon Lee. Not the Bill Skarsgård one that's getting the internet's knickers in a twist.
By the way, if anyone missed episode 4 or any of our others, check out our Geeklare podcast playlist after you finish this episode. No, Kit, I think our listeners might want us to celebrate Black Christmas or Texas Chainsaw Massacre for their 50th anniversaries instead of whatever you just said.
Sorry, Dave. I'm not in the mood for Nick Mancuso's crackpot phone calls, even if it was one of the first films to feature the camera angle from the killer's point of view. And even John Larroquette's narration can't tempt me to watch Texas Chainsaw again. You know I can't stand Leatherface.
But Kit, they're two of the most influential horror films ever made. Black Christmas inspired Halloween, which basically inspired everything else horror. And you've got Margot Kidder and the late great John Saxton in there too. Texas Chainsaw Massacre pushed the horror limits envelope for the 70s, and it's not as gory as the title suggests. They only used 2 ounces of stage blood.
Except when Gunnar Hansen really cut Marilyn Burns' finger.
Yeah, I mean, there was that. But, if you're gonna make an omelet, you gotta break a few eggs. Besides, they both got sequels coming soon. Albeit that the Black Christmas sequel is actually Dave McRae's fan film, It's Me, Billy, Chapter 2, but it still counts. You can't keep using my nope on me, Kit.
I can too.
Nuh-uh!
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw Day is August 18th, and it's not even Christmas in July time yet. It's only March. Do you really want to hear Mamacita? ¿Dónde está la sorority?
Okay, not those. Okay. Well, that's all right. There's still a lot of great movies with 2024 anniversaries. I'm sure we can find one to celebrate. What else do you maybe want to watch?
We can also watch and talk about my deep love for two late greats, Rowdy Roddy Piper and Trevor Goddard. So I figured we'd watch Immortal Kombat, co-starring Shinichi Chiba. They're trying to stop evil immortal ninjas. I mean, that's kind of cool, right? Or my favorite Trevor flick, Men of War, which is arguably one of Dolph Lundgren's best films. He's a merc with a conscience, and Trevor is just so deliciously evil. And one of the best character actors ever is in it, Tim Guiney. Or we could watch something with both Trevor and Roddy in it, Dead Tides. Granted, it's not a stellar flick, but I like that Roddy was trying to break away from his usual action guy stereotype.
Trying to pick something to celebrate for this podcast is becoming a real chore today, Kit. You know what? Actually, management. This is out of my hands. Management said we have to talk about Ghostbusters for the 40th anniversary, so I guess that settles that.
Just made that up. Management's on vacation. Oh, that's how you got away with the keg. The problem with that, though, Ghostbusters Day is in June. I want to talk about Della Morte dell'Amor.
More Del Taco, what?
If we want to talk about a truly underappreciated film, we have to watch Cemetery Man. That's the name they used in the US for Della Morte dell'Amore. Anyways, it's a horror alchemist's dream. You've got poetry, cinematography, a twisted fairy tale, romance, satire, and eerie atmosphere because it was filmed at a real cemetery, and stellar casting from Rupert Everett of Unconditional Love and who's going to be in the upcoming Land of Legend. And it features Anna Fauci in multiple roles.
You and your cult artsy fartsy films, I swear.
And stay with me here. Rupert's the caretaker of a quaint Italian cemetery, but 7 days after a burial,
7 days. Sorry, go on.
sometimes he has to dispatch and rebury the bodies.
Okay, you might have piqued my interest. Go on.
It's also a gory zombie flick. Never mind. It's probably as verboten as your keg of corpse light due to its sex scenes. So maybe the more diplomatic choice for the break room view would be The Last Starfighter.
Seth Rogen and Kevin Smith both separately wanted to remake that over the years, but no one can get the dang rights to it. Even if The Last Starfighter has a buttload of guys that were in Halloween in it too, we might cover that one for our April podcast.
Oh, Schnitzengiggle. I forgot. As much as I want a remake of that movie, I'd have a fit if they didn't find the perfect person to play Robert Preston's part. Though it'd be ironically funny if they cast Hugh Jackman. I wouldn't be unhappy with Ted Danson or Ken Marino, but I don't know.
You're killing me this week, Kit. I'm just trying to celebrate one, just one, of many March special occasions for this episode, and you're making it so we can't mention any of them. I'm gonna need you to stop being so difficult, okay?
I'm being difficult?
Yes. Ugh. Okay. What about the anniversary of the Shawshank Redemption?
You just said in our Warner Brothers 100 that we couldn't add more to the conversation about that movie.
Yeah, but I thought of something new, and it's actually really interesting. You see,
Are you folding origami?
yeah, I can multitask.
It looks like a paper wad.
It's a Death Star, because we're going to talk about the 25th anniversary of Star Wars Episode 1.
Oh, Donnie, I love me a homemade Prezi, but this is as bad as the alleged, and I mean alleged, National Sock Monkey Day Prezi you made me.
That's just the way he looks. It's Abe the Ape.
He's supposed to be King Kong.
So, yes to Star Wars.
Oh, when I was a little kid, it was a masterpiece. Then I grew up and I realized that dialogue and stereotypes were just so bad, it makes episode one hard to sit through anymore.
Okay, you know what? I'm sick of this. Let's just draw some fan art for Crayola Crayon Day and decorate the office.
Actually, wait, that would be fine. That's perfect. I've got some crayons in my desk. The blue blazer regular in me says I should make a portrait of Penny Pretty.
I hate to say it, but I don't think you're ever going to get that Buckaroo Banzai versus the World Crime League sequel you've been patiently waiting for, and I'm not going to get a Buckaroo Banzai remake with Keanu Reeves, so we're both losing.
I can't find the yellow crayon anyway, so I'll just draw Zeta von Harbo's Maschinenmensch instead.
Metropolis art would look cool on the office fridge, and they entered public domain too, so it wouldn't even be classified as fan art. Okay, great, so let's celebrate already.
The movie and Dark Maria in particular are just so iconic. And you're right, it is an anniversary, so I think it's a per. Oh man. Does anyone have a crayon sharpener?
Son of a word I can't say on YouTube. Well, I mean, we're getting warmer at least.
Well, I guess, why don't we cover Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, with Andy McDowell of Trial and Error and Multiplicity, and Christopher Lambert?
Woo hella booyah! There can be only one.
I don't want to rile up our listeners, but who wouldn't want to be the Jane Filling in a Christopher Lambert and Alexander Skarsgård Tarzan sandwich?
You really have your mind set on making us hurl this episode. No one wants to hear about loincloth fetishes, Kit. I mean, some people maybe do, but not our listeners, not right now.
Hey, fine, whatever. How about Tim Thomerson from Near Dark? It's one of my favorite vampire movies.
You're all over the place today. Tim was never Tarzan, but he was in that comic book movie Samurai Priest Vampire Hunter.
And I never did end up seeing that one. I just figured we could do a Trancers marathon. It's classic futuristic sci-fi. Enjoy a bit of Jack Death, who's a bounty hunter cop that time travels to collar a criminal who uses hypnosis to turn his victims into mindless zombies.
For a person that doesn't like zombies, you sure do recommend a lot of films and series that feature zombies.
Whenever I stumble across one that's worthwhile, I might as well share the love with our listeners. The kind of horror films I intentionally avoid because for me they're not fun escapism or entertaining are like real life serial killer cannibals like Dahmer and slashers that veer into terror torture porn like Martyrs or The Faces of Death. Let's just pick a horror movie that's occult, supernatural, or paranormal, like something with a vampire, a ghost, or a werewolf. We could binge the UK, then the American version of Being Human.
Double nope. It's got to fit the whole holiday/anniversary theme. Okay.
Uh,
Okay. What about A Nightmare on Elm Street, huh? One of the best 80s horrors, one of the best final girls, and you've got Wes Craven behind the camera. Or Children of the Corn. It was their 40th anniversary on March 9th, and you love Stephen King. Come on.
no, I'm not in the mood for those ones. If it has to be horror, then how about Nadja?
Nope, your list sucks.
Of course it does. Elena Lowensohn's a vampire. Her dad, Dracula, is Peter Fonda.
Not even in the mood to see David Lynch in that one right now. Come on, we can agree on something. How about Beverly Hills Cop? It's Axel Foley's 40th anniversary, and the next one's coming out soon.
I do like it, but triple nope, because I'd rather binge all three leading into the fourth.
Why not Double Dragon then?
We can't. We're maybe going to cover it in a future episode.
You're being insanely difficult here, Kit. Fine. For National Retro Video Game Day, how about Street Fighter?
I don't wanna.
Because it's a bad movie?
No, because it was Royal Julia's last theatrically released movie, and Adrian Cronauer's Good Morning Shadaloo really makes me miss Robin Williams. Okay, if it's gotta be for Retro Video Game Day, I would rather watch Uncharted. At least we get a hottie trifecta with Antonio Banderas, Mark Wahlberg, and Tom Holland. It's classic action adventure fun with them trying to find missing pirate treasure. How about Werewolves Within? I like the chemistry between postal worker Milana Van Trub and park ranger Sam Richardson. I wanted to find out who or what was killing off the residents of the town they just moved into.
Those video games aren't retro, though. They came out in 2007 and 2016.
But they are better movies.
That's beside the point. Way to shove a round movie pick into a square retro hole.
Too much hole for me right now.
Knock it off or I'm calling HR.
You can't. They're on vacation too.
What about The Matrix for their 25th anniversary? I know Kung Fu.
Whoa. Keanu Reeves' day is in May, so nope.
Come on! I'm sick of this. You're telling me you'd rather watch all those movies you just said rather than a 20th anniversary screening of Saw.
Yes, I would.
One of the best endings in movies, not just horror movies, movies. The birth of arguably the last original slasher legend, and it spawned a franchise with over 100 kills and counting.
So the first one was unique and it jettisoned Jigsaw and Billy into horror icons. I still don't like slashers.
Listeners, comment down below. Whose watch party would you rather be at?
Why are you so obsessed with watching a movie in the break room anyway?
Well, I got a bunch of popcorn in there for Popcorn Lovers Day.
But I brought in like 20 different flavors of chips and dips to celebrate National Potato Chip Day.
They're both salty Okay, are you just like messing with me at this point?
No. By the way, did you know March is also Women's History Month?
No, I didn't, but I don't think we should celebrate that one only because, all due respect, we're gonna probably talk Women for Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October.
How many times do I have to remind you men also have movies? They could have breast cancer too. Besides, we've talked Marvel, Ninja Turtles, and Kevin Smith almost every episode so far.
It's not our fault. They're in the news lately. We can't help it. And let's be honest, men's breasts aren't what most people think of when they hear breast cancer, okay? They think of some big ol' hoops.
They are when you think of purple nurples and titty twisters. You're being so misogynistic, it's giving me a migraine.
No, I'm not being misogynistic. I'm just saying you ladies will get the spotlight later. If I were being misogynistic, I'd say something like, Kit, why are you podcasting right now when you should be making my dinner? Women's History Month. When is Men's History Month? That's what I want to know. Y'all know dang well y'all don't need a whole month, just like y'all don't need another bottle of nail polish, all right?
I thought that bumpkin liked when I did my nails.
How many shades of red does one podcaster whose nails can't even be seen need? Now that's misogynistic. Luckily, you and the listeners are all smart enough to know I'd never say such things in real life.
I think someone's begging for a double purple nurple. Oh, can we just move on? What's the next March Geek holiday? Maybe we'll agree on it.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Day.
Oh my god, I told you every episode.
The then mayor of Los Angeles declared March 19th to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Day back in 1993, commemorating the first publication of the comic in '84.
Well, I subscribe to the more recent Turtle Day canon. The San Francisco Zoo declared Ninja Turtle Day to be August 1st, back in 2014, which also nicely coincides with Digimon and Spider Man Day.
You're just still salty about the Women's Month thing. Sadly, no big TMNT Day events this year, but we do have Turtles news. Mutant Mayhem 2 should be out October 9th, 2026. Mutant Mayhem 1 got an Annie, Saturn, and Critics' Choice Award nomination. You can still stream it on Paramount Plus. Also, Outright Games is making a Turtles video game. It's set a few months after the first Mutant Mayhem.
I don't know how excited adult Turtle fans will be, though. Outright Games usually do kiddie switch games like Paw Patrol and stuff like that.
Later this summer, you can also watch the first season of Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Summer? See? They might prefer August too.
They already got a season 2 confirmed also, so that might be good. Well, there's only one way to settle this TMNT Day dispute.
No, there's not.
Ninja fight in the parking lot, baby. Let's go!
That sounds like another ER trip in the making. Remember the dangerous break room snack debacle? There was that pulled hammy because someone isn't John Claude and can't do a roundhouse, and someone else had to look like a discount pirate because they cracked themselves with their own nunchucks.
Now that you mention it, that's a good point. Okay. But, you make it sound like that kind of thing happens all the time around here. It's not that bad.
It was just last week. Not that I would know, but eye patches play havoc with depth of field and peripheral vision. Can't we just flip a cursed leprechaun doubloon or roll an enchanted Gravity Falls die or something?
Well, sure, if you want to be boring about it.
For the love of the space-time continuum, please tell me there's no more geek holidays in March.
Only the best one, the Purge Day on March 21st. All crime is legal for 12 hours. You can't call HR on me that day, kid. I'm gonna show up to work drunk again. I'm gonna have my junk out again.
Donnie, you're worrying me. The Purge isn't real.
What do you mean?
The Purge, it's a fictional universe comprised of fictional characters. You know, crime is still very much illegal on the real March 21st. And let's say if, which we don't, if we followed the Purge's rules, it doesn't even begin in their world until 7 p.m. You and I work 8 to 4.
Well, I really wish you would have said something about this before I keyed your side of the car.
Poor Michael. Oh, what possessed you to key the car?
Well, I tapped the keg and I decided to myself, it's Purge week. I should pregame a little bit.
Oh my God. Are you saying you've been committing crimes every March 21st since 2013?
Hey, so did you know March is Women's History Month? Oh my God, we should talk about that.
You don't change the subject. Now, I want to hear about your litany of Purge Day crimes. This is making so much sense in retrospect. This is why all my office supplies vanish every March 21st, isn't it? Not to mention my lunch. And you kept blaming the poor dog.
He loves people food.
Stop that. So it's apparently perfectly okay to lie for your totally made up holiday now, too?
I didn't make up the purge, the new founding fathers did.
Oh my God.
You know a historical woman I like? Mary Shelley. It's not a holiday per se, but Frankenstein's birthday is on March 18th. His first movie came out that day way back in 1910. That means he's 114 years old as of 2024. We gotta do 114 shots for Frankie!
No. First of all, anyone who tries that would literally die. To anyone listening to this, don't do that ever. Second of all, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was first published on January 1st, 1818, meaning that not only did we miss his birthday, it was 2 months ago. But in book years, he's like 206. This is just like when you try to start a flame war by saying opposite day was the second Friday in March instead of on January 25th.
According to South Park canon, it is. Oh! You want to play Stick of Truth in the break room instead? It just had its 10th anniversary, too.
Not really. I like Fractured better.
Dang it! I'll tell you what, though. Getting back to Frankenstein, Mary Shelley can get it.
Excuse me?
To come up with an idea like Frankenstein in 1818 means she was ahead of her time brilliant.
Okay, I agree. Where are you going with this?
I'm just saying, she seems like the 1800s equivalent of that hot goth chick from college. You know, that adventurous weird one who was down for all sorts of crazy stuff.
And you lost me again.
Let's make this a thing. Internet, back me up in the comments. Hashtag Mary Shelley can get it.
Out of respect for Mary Shelley's memory and her estate, let's please not make that a thing. Frankie's still popular around the world, though, now that you mention it. Netflix has, God, I feel like I'm going to make the pronunciation, please cite me. Kagan Irmak's 2023 Turkish 8-episode miniseries, Yartalın Preacher, starring Erkin Kolçak, Costendal of The Pit, and Tanner Olmaz of The Protector and A Miracle, and Sifner Gul of As the Crow Flies. There's also Yorgos Lanthimos' Oscar-nominated Poor Things based on Alistair Gray's book of the same name, starring Emma Stone from Maniac.
You mean the actress who's going to reprise her role in Cruella 2?
No. Psych, this time I was just yanking your chain.
Keep it up, I'll key the other side of the car.
It also stars Willem Dafoe of Boondock Saints and the upcoming Nosferatu and Beetlejuice, and Mark Ruffalo of the Adam Project and All the Light That We Cannot See, and the upcoming Mickey 17. In it, Dr. Goodwin Baxter, himself reanimated, does the same with Bella Baxter and raises her like a daughter with a voracious appetite for knowledge and the need to leave her gilded cage where she can encounter people, places, and things that lead her to a sexual liberation and a deeper self knowledge.
Poor Things isn't a work safe film. It's like over 2 hours. If they cut all the sex scenes, it would probably be over in like half an hour.
Yes, it is rife with furious jumping and much releasing of heat. I gotta say, Duncan Winterburn is one of the most amusing characters I've ever seen Mark Ruffalo play. I was struck by the gradual transition from black and white to the unusual color palette and abstract imagery. Some of the sets are quite lovely. I felt like I was seeing actual locations of Karnaka from the video game Dishonored.
Do we need to put AF warnings here?
AF?
Artsy fartsy?
I'm ignoring that and changing the subject now. An author's opening sentence is one of the differences between a dime store paperback and a really memorable novel. A literary hook that no matter where you are or what you're doing, as soon as you hear it, you're summoned. The crooked, hazy cartoon finger beckons you to return to who, when, or wherever the book is set. Maybe it's like the warm embrace of old friends inviting you for biscuits and tea.
For the record, I'm still mad at you right now, but if we're talking great opening lines, yeah, I mean, I can think of some classics. In a hole in the ground, there lived a hobbit. Once there were 4 children whose names were Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy. Call me Ishmael.
Or perhaps it ends up more like a mangled curse that suddenly sets off all your spidey senses. You feel the looming dread quivering between the pages, trying to suck tendrils off your soul. Like, the hotel is big and rather famous, ostentatious if not downright flamboyant, within easy walking distance of Whitehall, and not entirely what it seemed to be.
Not long ago, a monster came to the small town of Castle Rock, Maine. He was not a werewolf, vampire, ghoul, or unnameable creature. He was only a cop named Frank Dodd with mental and sexual problems. In a week before their departure to Arrakis, when all the final scurrying about had reached a nearly unbearable frenzy, an old crone came to visit the mother of the boy, Paul.
Or, last night, I dreamt I was Manderley, captivating beauty, to join, tie, bind, or snare. That is exactly what Daphne du Maurier does with her 1938 novel Rebecca. Every living character in the book is joined in a claustrophobic depression. Rebecca's bound to the Manderley estate. She manipulatively binds her husband Maxim, her bewitched cousin Jack, and her deluded servant Mrs. Danvers. Her destructive legacy even snares his new bride, Mrs. De Winter, vampirically turning her into the somnambulistic voice of the book, lending the whole story an increasingly nightmarish lack of lucidity.
Rebecca's had countless stage and radio productions. They've done 15 for film, but the version most people watch is Alfred Hitchcock's 1940 Oscar winner for Best Cinematography and Best Picture, which, crazily enough, those are the only Oscars Alfred Hitchcock ever won. He also made a second Daphne du Maurier book into a film. You might have heard of it. It's a little something called The Birds.
Rebecca was produced by David O. Selznick, who also produced Portrait of Jenny and The Third Man, starring Sir Laurence Olivier of Marathon Man and Clash of the Titans, Joan Fontaine of Gunga Din and Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, and Judith Anderson of Inn of the Damned, Laura, and Star Trek III Search for Spock.
Netflix also did a version in 2020 directed by Ben Wheatley. A few honorable mentions for horror, sci-fi, and or fantasy movies that are directed by women. They're supposed to be coming out this year sometime. In theaters in April, we've got The First Omen, which looks really good. Disney is gonna make Damien scary again. If anybody's gonna do it, it's gonna be the religious company, right? In May, we've got I Saw the TV Glow. In November, of course, we got Venom 3. Coming soon to Peacock, we've got Kung Fu Panda 4. On Prime Video, you've got La Chimera, Lisa Frankenstein, Popular Theory, Tarot, and The Watchers.
And on Netflix, Boy Swallows Universe. Of all the titles mentioned, it's the only one I've seen yet. Based on Trent Dalton's semi-autobiographical book, it's set in 1980s Brisbane, featuring Felix Cameron as a precocious teen and Lee Tiger Haley as a selectively mute older brother. and how they deal with a dysfunctional family and the drug lord who's trying to destroy them. Donnie, are there any holidays this month we can actually celebrate at work?
Actually, no, that's all of them. Sorry, listeners. Sorry we couldn't mention any of the holidays thanks to Kit. But to all of our listeners, happy Steve Patrick's Anonymous Mario Plumber Sock Monkey Video Game Ninja Popcorn Movie Anniversary Crayola Chips Purge Day! Woo!
Okay, Mr. Festive, dial it down. What about International Talk Like William Shatner Day for March 22nd? We do a quick Shatner impression and boom, we've celebrated.
Nope, my voice is usually shot the 22nd from all the Purge Day screaming.
So you do commit March 21st crimes.
Hey, didn't you see the new Avatar The Last Airbender on Netflix? Oh my god, we should talk about that! I'll say this, Avatar got screwed on the naming. I saw the old anime, and let it be known to the future pop culture zeitgeist, they were Avatar first, okay? Then James Cameron's Army of Blue Cats comes along and, usurps the Avatar name, so much so that The Last Airbender had to drop all things Avatar from its titles going forward, and that's not right. Not only was Airbender the first Avatar, but personally, I also find it to be a better IP than Ferngully in Space. But that said, I've been busy, so I still haven't seen the new Last Airbender.
I'm a huge fan of the animated version. I like the idea that M. Night Shyamalan was going to make the film, but it was horribly miscast and a bit of a dumpster fire.
That was the twist?
No, seriously. Like, it was bad. 3 earthbenders just to move a piece of gravel? Oh, no. I ended up having high hopes for Albert Kim's 8-episode Netflix series, though. And I was much happier with the casting. When I heard the original series creators left, I got worried it was going to veer too much away from the source material. Granted, they did take some liberties, mostly by rushing into the story at the expense of what I felt was character development. The first episode was stilted with dialogue because it was heavy on the exposition, kind of like me. But the characters seemed rushed into their save the world role. I didn't like that Aang seemed to expect to learn all his bending from the spirits of past avatars instead of learning alongside Katara. And I really missed Uncle Eros wandering off to play Paicho all the time. While mostly true to the original source material, with a few adjustments to help it make sense to viewers who've never seen the cartoon, it still has a lot of its essence left to appeal to a longtime fan like me. The ethics that they did use was well done. It seemed impactful and awesome, and I really loved how they rendered Appa and Momo, and Sokka is still a lovable doofus older brother. I wish they'd included a little more of the character's playfulness and that we got to see Sokka and Katara and Aang bond a little bit better. And more. Netflix has already greenlit season 2 and 3 of Avatar The Last Airbender, and if it does well enough, I hope they really consider doing Legend of Korra next. Other Netflix series getting a second season are the live action One Piece, Castlevania Nocturne, Star Trek Prodigy, and Blue Eyed Samurai. That's it for us this week. Say goodnight, Donnie.
Actually, Kit, if it's okay, I'd like to end this episode a little differently. I was thinking about it while you were reviewing, and I feel bad for getting frustrated with you earlier about the holidays and all that.
Me too.
We in the geek culture space can be a passionate bunch, and sometimes that leads to disagreements, but at the end of the day, it's supposed to be about getting together with friends and celebrating fandoms we all love. So, okay, besides the keg, because Birds of Perslayer are going to play at the office party later, besides the keg, I also brought my bagpipes to work for Bagpipe Appreciation Day.
I think we can probably talk Steve into wearing earmuffs for National Earmuff Day. What he can't hear, he can't complain about.
So me and Birds of Perslayer, we've been working on this new song. It's about love and friendship, and to
Oh,
make this, yeah, and so to make this whole episode up to you, I'd like you to be the first one to hear it. I'd like to play that for you to end the show today. Is that okay?
what a beautiful, thoughtful way to end the show. That would be nice. Thank you.
We actually don't have a title for the song yet. Listeners, comment down below with your suggestions for one. Okay, here we go. This one's for you, Kit.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual purge sanctioned by the
I knew
U.S.
it!
government.
I knew it was real! Oh boy, we get to celebrate a holiday after all. Kit, get a weapon!
What should I grab? Oh my god. But I wanted to hear the song.
No time! All crime is legal. We gotta get the hell out of here. Grab the keg! Steve, save the keg! It's the purge, everybody! It's the purge! Yeah! Yeah!
Oh, I hate geek holidays.